Bitcoin has seen a steep short-term correction to retest 91,000. Will Bitcoin go lower? Are we seeing a reversal develop? And how is the altcoin season coming along? These are questions we're answering in today's video. Let's jump on in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. In today's video, we are doing a deep dive into both the short-term and the macro price action for Bitcoin, discussing the recent correction, potential lower and upper targets, impacts this move has had on the total market cap, and the possibility for an altcoin season. Before we get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos for Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you are interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. And if you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, you can join us in VIP. We post trading setups with exact entries, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. You'll also get access to all of our group chats, our general chat, our trading chat and education chat, our daily video, our help, and our news chat. Check it out, guys. Join up by clicking the pinned comment in the free channel, clicking my name or these links for more information. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in. So we're going to try to keep today's video nice and short and sharp because I do not usually film videos on Wednesdays, but a lot has happened. There's a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty and doubt in the market right now. So I figured let's jump on in and take a look at the price action. So as we can see, Bitcoin has had a pretty cataclysmic correction on the short term, just in about 48 hours, moving from $99,000 all the way down to 91,000. We have seen this correction play out relatively quickly, as a lot of people were expecting Bitcoin to breach that $100,000 mark. The price action said nope, and it came toward the downside. And as we said in our Telegram channel many months ago, we told you guys we can see that everyone would be waiting for $100,000 to sell. It gets very close to it, but it just does not get over. And then we see this massive downward liquidity flush, which has wiped out now more than $150 billion in long liquidations over the course of around 3 days. Now, as you know, I personally sold all of my Bitcoin on this 96K rally. I took partial profits at 94K and sold the rest at 96K purely because of two reasons. One, I believe that after we see massive impulses, it's always good to take profits. Number two, my original price target since I entered at 16.5K was 96K. Again, this is all discussed on the channel over the last 2+ years. And number three, I do believe that 100K was always going to act as a major psychological barrier where we would very likely see pullbacks develop from, which we have seen. And finally, number four, if we look at traditional altcoin cycles, and we'll be discussing it in today's video, the preferable place to be according to where the money is going to flow would likely be altcoins if we see a traditional cycle. Now, everyone has a different opinion. Some people are permanently holding Bitcoin for the long term to hedge against inflation, etc., etc. There are many different ways to skin a cat. Everyone's got a different plan. I'm not here to tell you what is right or wrong. I'm simply telling you, as a day trader, that was my execution. That is what I've done. So let's take a look at the short term. As we can see, with this major pullback, it has seen a little bit of a downtrend develop. We have what we would call a falling wedge structure. Now, a falling wedge structure is actually a bullish reversal pattern. So this is telling us already that during the course of the last 2 and a bit days, we've seen the price action correct. But what we are starting to see now is we are seeing this selling pressure beginning to exhaust. We are seeing the sellers lose steam. Now, this comes from two particular directions. Number one, we can see sellers are obviously drying up, they're drying up their selling, but number two, we are seeing buyers are starting to step in at greater and greater amounts as we approach these lower areas of support. We can see that represented by our RSI, signifying again a rise in momentum, which is increasing developing strength with, of course, the contradictory downward move on the price action of the lower lows. This is a classic bullish divergence. So if we are going to have any attempt to see a reversal, the most likely reversal point is going to be from this apex point onwards. That could result in a continuation higher. Now, will that take Bitcoin over 100K? That's a different question, but will we see a reversal? It is highly likely. If we sustain and break out from this region, we will. We'll come back to this chart in a second. So as we've said, massive amounts of liquidations have occurred. We've seen 464 million in liquidations in the last 24 hours, and over the last few days, well over $1 billion collectively. In the last 24-hour volume is down 12% at 300 billion, liquidations at 464 million, with 356 million coming from longs. Moving to the DXY, not too much has changed over here. We are sitting at the range high. We are watching how this weekly candle closes. If we close above, we will expect higher. If we do not, we'll be marking this as deviation and expecting this to be a local top for a correction back to the range low. Looking at the S&P 500, again, we have been in a very strong uptrend ever since March 2023. We have developed one high, we've developed two highs, and we have developed three highs. What we can see on every single high we've developed, we've seen corrections post-high, which if we look at these corrections, they've all been able to hold their prior high points, meaning not a single one of these highs, 2, 3 over here, not a single one of these highs have actually been invalidated after breaking toward the upside. If we take a look at the current price action, we can see the S&P 500 is retesting yet again the $6,000 region. A break of this level will result in a continuation, and as we said, if we drop below this prior high right over here, that would mark the end of this macro uptrend for the S&P 500. So bullish at the moment, a loss of this region, we are in a macro downtrend. That is it, guys. Let's jump into the market analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the total market cap, discussing the altcoin market, as altcoins have seen a little bit of turbulence over the past 24 hours. We're taking a look at the total market cap and most importantly, the short-term price action. Before we get into it, if you are interested in supporting the channel, supporting the content, and supporting yourself, sign up to BitGet, BitUnix, or BingX. You'll get a lifetime trading fee discount of 15%, as well as a build up to a potential 45% trading fee discount based on your trading volume. So support yourself, join up, the links down below, get that 15% discount, and of course we'll play an ad and we'll jump back in. I'd like to introduce our partner, BitUnix. BitUnix is a global non-KYC, no country restriction exchange, making it a perfect exchange to trade on if you're from the USA, from Canada, the Netherlands, or just prefer to trade without KYC. This exchange is a futures and spot exchange with over 200 different trading pairs and some of the lowest fees in the game. If you sign up with my link down below, you'll get access to 15% off your trading fees, as well as an exclusive reward center where you can claim up to a multitude in USDT prizes. So go ahead and sign up with my link down below for 15% off, and I'll see you in there. Okay guys, let's go ahead and jump in. Like we said, we're going to keep it short and sharp, taking a look at the short-term price action first and foremost. As we can see, and as we mentioned in the intro, we have seen a correction of Bitcoin. We are now in a falling wedge structure. A falling wedge structure is inherently a bullish reversal pattern. It is a bullish structure. It is representing that the selling is starting to exhaust, as we have two converging trend lines between our downtrending resistance and our downtrending support. Generally, nearing the end of these apex points, we start to see momentum flip positive, and when we do see momentum flip positive, that generally signifies as a leading indicator for the price action to follow suit and break out of the downtrend of the falling wedge upper resistance. So what are we waiting for, guys? We are watching this RSI trend line. If we can see the RSI break upwards, which means the RSI will need to break through this trend line, that would signify that the weakening or the exhaustion that has been developing through the course of this downtrend, the bearish momentum, the downtrending momentum has ended. The momentum has slipped positive and the strength has returned to the buyers. This would signify that the support has in fact efficiently held, and we will likely see a breakout of that respective downtrend, resulting in a reversal and a continuation to retest these highs. So assuming that happens, where will Bitcoin likely to go? A measured move analysis from the depth of the channel applied to a perceived breakout point could take us all the way back to the 98k region or retest these highs. Now, we do know if we see that move, we will inevitably be retesting our current macro downtrend over here, as well as our key horizontal high, which is a level we need to break above to see the price action move to 100,000. So we've said it already. If Bitcoin wants to move to 100,000, we need to get above this high at 99. The falling wedge structure's maximal target is sitting back at that level of resistance, which means it is unlikely we will see a move through that level in one structural consolidation. It may take a little bit longer, multiple weeks, to see the price action even attempt that level. Now, this is all best case scenario. Of course, there is a possibility that this falling wedge gets invalidated. Now, simply for that to occur, we would be watching the overall momentum on the upward move. We are watching the uptrending momentum. A loss of the uptrending momentum would signify that the exhaustion developing as a consequence of our bullish divergence, and in fact as a consequence of buyers stepping in, would signify that these buyers pushing the price up from the support have exhausted and these sellers are still in control, and they'll likely push the price action through this level of support. So if we see that occur, we are watching our lowermost levels of liquidity, particularly watching our sell side liquidity levels at 88,000, potentially 86,000, and we are in massive trouble for Bitcoin if we start dropping below this $85,000 region. Now, I do not think it's likely. Personally, I stick to the facts. I stick to what is likely. At the moment, when I see falling wedge structures, I am more inclined to assume we're going to see reversals while this validation is in fact holding. If we invalidate this bullish absorption, then I will likely be expecting continuations lower. But for now, I think it is possible and probable that we are going to see a reversal for Bitcoin over the next 48 hours, particularly after a significant move toward the downside. Now, this is not about the higher time frame. Let's talk about the higher time frame, guys. If we zoom out to the higher time frame, there is one level I am watching, and if this level breaks, I will be most likely flipping bearish on Bitcoin for the short term, and the possibility that this becomes a top is significantly greater. As you know, I have sold my Bitcoin at 96,000. I'm not a bull, I'm not a bear, I'm just a trader. I don't really care where Bitcoin goes at the moment. I'm much more objective when it comes to looking at the price action, as I have been the entire time. So I will say objectively, once the momentum flips negative, which is essentially, if we take a look at this RSI trend line and we took a look at the price action, we turn bullish on the 49k retest. We have seen from here higher lows develop the entire way up until this blow off top to around 96, 99, 100,000. With this move upwards, we have had positive momentum, signifying that the buyers are in control of this move. If we see the daily RSI drop below, that would tell us that the price action is overextended in comparison to what the buyers are suggesting. The sellers have taken over, and the should I say the bullish momentum, or the strength, which is basically what the momentum is suggestive of, has been lost. That could signify a steeper correction could be due for Bitcoin if we see that breakdown. Now, I do not want to see that personally. I would much like to see Bitcoin go higher, and obviously that is the worst case scenario, but we need to be aware of these possibilities. If we see the breakdown on the RSI, in my eyes, that would be a negative momentum shift, and as a momentum trader, I have to take that at face value. I have to listen to that, and I have to assume that could result in lower prices for Bitcoin. So that is the higher time frame, and that is the short-term charts. Obviously, this short-term move toward the downside has had some implications for the altcoin market. If we move over to the total altcoin market, we can see that the altcoin market lost around $100 billion. $100 billion in 24 hours from the total through market. Now, this isn't too much of a concern. I don't believe this invalidates altcoin season. We'll take a look at altcoin season in a second. I actually think this is more in line with what we have seen historically. Historically, what we have seen in prior cycles, we see, and I'll just go ahead and say this, the price chart is the total 3, the yellow line is Bitcoin, and the black line is Bitcoin dominance. What we saw in historical cycles is at the vertical point, this red line, we saw a local top for Bitcoin. We also saw the altcoin total 3 break through the altcoin season trigger, and we saw Bitcoin dominance begin to fall. We saw all of that happen at exactly the same time. And all of that occurred after the first all-time high rally post prior cycle all-time high. This is the first extensive move after post-cycle all-time high we have seen on Bitcoin. We are creating a local top here, which has sparked Bitcoin dominance to begin to drop, which we saw last cycle. And as we were doing that, the altcoin total 3 broke through its yearly point of resistance, which initiated the altcoin season. So provided we continue to see Bitcoin dominance fall, it is highly likely we will still see an altcoin season. Now, the only thing in my eyes that can invalidate this altcoin season is if we see a weekly candle close below the point of around 840 billion on the total 3. The reason I say that is if we look at prior cycles, we did not see a weekly close back below the altcoin season trigger once we broke above it. We came back down to retest it. That's important. We actually came back down to retest it for 3 full weeks, but we did not close a weekly candle below it. So provided we remain above, I'm expecting eventual altcoin season. However, the short-term price action of Bitcoin is not looking fantastic. If we do not see this reversal, it is possible we continue toward the downside, and that will result in altcoins continuing to bleed, and we could see a larger flush across the board. However, while we are in a falling wedge, we do have to be optimistic for the upside, and upon the breakout of this downtrend, I would expect Bitcoin to go into a full-blown reversal, at least to around 95,000, and best case scenario, back into 99. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you in the next video. See you then.